Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, E.W.S.B. Bancorp just filed their latest 8K report detailing their annual shareholder meeting results, and I want to show you what the voting outcomes reveal about the company's leadership and its future direction. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. We are going to dive into who got elected and how the shareholders voted on a key auditor appointment, and what that tells us about management's confidence. Alright, so what we have here is a current report, basically a summary of what is happening with E.W.S.B. Bancorp Incorporated, or E.W.S.B. as it is known by its stock ticker. The filing comes out right after their annual shareholder meeting on the 4th of June 2026. This report officially tells us the results of the votes that happened at that meeting. First up, let's talk about who is running the show. The meeting was to elect directors, essentially the people who oversee the company's strategy and make big decisions. Two names are put up for a 3-year term, KM Dorow and Stephen Haen. Looking at the numbers, KM Dorow received 366,187 votes in favour of her election. Now, there were 20,117 votes withheld, meaning shareholders chose not to vote for her, and importantly, there were 157,254 broken non-votes. That means the broker held the shares but did not receive instructions from the beneficial owner on how to vote. It is always interesting to see the withheld votes, but the number of broken non-votes here is quite significant compared to the votes cast. Stephen Haen got a very similar amount of support with 366,212 votes in favour. He had 20,092 votes withheld and the same 157,254 broken non-votes. When you see numbers that close, especially with a substantial chunk of non-votes, it often suggests a generally accepted slate of directors, but not necessarily overwhelming enthusiasm from every single shareholder. Now let's move on to something crucial for any company's financial credibility. Their auditor shareholders were asked to ratify the appointment of Plante Moran, PLC, as the independent registered public accounting firm for the year ending the 31st of December 2026. This means confirming that the company is hiring them to check their financial books. And here is where we see very strong support. The vote was overwhelmingly in favour, with 543,558 votes for ratifying Plante Moran. There were no votes against, no abstentions, and no broken non-votes recorded for this item. This kind of unanimous or near unanimous approval for an auditor is generally a positive sign. It suggests that the board's choice for who will audit the company is well accepted by the shareholders, and there are no major concerns raised about the firm or its independence from the company. A clean sweep here usually means shareholders trust the board's process in selecting an auditor. So, what does all this mean for E.W.S.B. Bancorp? Well, the election of directors and the ratification of the auditor are standard procedures for an annual meeting. The fact that both items passed with clear majorities, especially the auditor vote, indicates a degree of stability and shareholder confidence in the current leadership and their approach to financial oversight. Looking at the bigger picture, E.W.S.B. Bancorp is a regional bank. Typically, these banks are sensitive to interest rate changes and the overall economic health of their region. The overwhelming support for the auditor, Plante Moran, suggests shareholders are comfortable with the company's transparency and accounting practices. This is important because a strong auditor acts as a guardian of financial integrity, assuring investors that the numbers they see in financial reports are accurate and reliable. The director votes, while high, had a considerable number of withheld and broken non-votes, which might suggest some shareholders are watching closely, but not actively opposing the current board. This filing doesn't give us deep financial numbers like a 10Q or 10K, but it does give us a pulse on shareholder sentiment regarding governance and financial scrutiny. For investors, seeing a smooth process for electing directors and approving auditors is a foundational piece of reassurance. It's like checking if the foundation of a house is solid before you decide to buy it. Given that E.W.S.B. Bancorp is operating in the financial services sector, particularly as a regional bank, maintaining investor confidence through robust governance and transparent financial reporting is paramount. The results here support that, while there is no indication of any major shifts or controversies, the strong vote for the auditor signals that the company is prioritizing its financial integrity, which is a positive indicator for its continued operations and investor relations. A historical comparable to consider would be any company that faced shareholder activism due to concerns about financial reporting or board composition. In those cases, you often see a significant number of withheld votes or even direct opposition to director. Elections and auditor ratifications. The lack of such opposition here for E.W.S.B. suggests that, at least for now, the shareholders are content with the status quo on these important matters, even if the participation level isn't 100% across the board. So, to wrap it up, this 8 K is about the smooth functioning of corporate governance at E.W.S.B. Bancorp. The election of directors passed and the appointment of their auditor Plante Moran was ratified with very strong support, giving a stamp of approval for their financial oversight. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and join our Discord community linked in the description.